It's a 20-minute video, I know.
Something I don't do, I can. Maybe you can be more intense than we're not made. And hopefully you won't find all of the reasons why his love didn't count and why we couldn't work it out.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it has been a while, but I had to get on here and give you guys an update on my first year as an RN. If you are new to my channel, I am a degreed registered nurse. I have my associate's degree in nursing. I'm a registered nurse in the state of Florida. Before becoming a registered nurse, I was an LPN for 5 years. And before becoming an LPN, I was CNA for 5 years before that. So we're looking at me being about 11, 12 years in the game in this healthcare field. My advice to nurses, student nurses, or new nurses that are coming out from my experience as a first year RN in the hospital in acute care settings is 3 things. So, my first tip, and it kind of piggybacks off of my second tip, is assess your patient, like point blank, period. I know that sounds as if that's a no-brainer simply because that's our job, to come in and care for patients, but you will be surprised at how easily we get bombarded with 100 different things. And to be honest, assessing your patient kind of falls through the cracks. Simply because you have the phone ringing, you have doctors rounding, you have respiratory therapists rounding, you have your nurse manager telling you about like the survey of how the patient felt when they were in the hospital. Did they like their food? Did we answer their call light? Do you feel like the nurse listened to you? Like those type of things. So they want those surveys to be up because that plays a part in reimbursement. Whatever it is, it's so easy to have as your assessment. So my only tip to you is be thorough with your assessments and actually do them, because we chart on computers, so it's easy to go back 24, 48, 72 hours and see what the nurse before you charted, and if it looks like it makes sense, or if you feel like that's a good nurse, so you kind of know that her assessment is on par, so you kind of like just do what she do. No. It's always good to see what the other nurse charted so that you know if it's a change. But for real, always do your own assessment. Simply because, example, I come into work and this patient has been there for like a week. This person, I work on a neuro unit, so I work with a lot of strokes, we already knew she had a stroke. Or he had a stroke, because I don't want to be like telling y'all if it's a he or a she. But we already knew that the patient had a stroke. And they were there, but they continuously deteriorated. And they were like, oh, when they went down for this test and they came back, they were a totally different person. So I'm doing my assessment and the patient's like, oh, I can't see. Like, you can't see. Sis, what you talking about? Bro, what are you talking about? You can't see. So I'm on the phone with the family member. I'm like, hey, do they have vision issues? You know, they're kind of old, so you know, old people might have vision issues. So I'm like, do they have vision issues? And they were like, oh no, nothing like but reading glasses, but nothing like drastic. I'm like, oh, so they could see. They were like, yeah. So I'm like, I called the neurologist because the neurologist was rounding on other patients. I was like, hey, I know we talked about this patient already earlier today, but I meant to tell you, the patient said they can't see. And she was like, can't see. I'm like, they say they blind. Like, they say they can't see. When I asked how many fingers am I holding up, they specifically said, I don't know. I can't see a thing. So the doctor was like, oh, okay, let's do a repeat CAT scan. We do a repeat CAT scan, and lo and behold, it was a new stroke. So it's so easy to miss things simply because if a patient is confused, a patient is not compliant, a patient is combative, or whatever it is, plus all of the other distractions that we have, it's so easy to miss things. And this patient had a new stroke. So, you know, have your assessment skills on point. Here's another example. I had a patient who had a AAA, which is an abdominal aortic aneurysm. So anybody knows that if you have a AAA, it is very sensitive. When you're assessing a patient, you are not supposed to palpate the abdomen. You can listen and you'll hear the swishing in the stomach. That's a telltale sign it's an aortic abdominal aneurysm. But the example was the patient came in complaining of abdominal pain. No brainer. And a CAT scan was ordered with and without contrast. Well, they did the without contrast CAT scan, but the radiologist canceled the with contrast because the patient had decreased kidney functions. And when you're giving a patient contrast, it will kill their kidneys if they're on the brink of kidney failure or if they have any kind of kidney issues. A normal person like me will just flush me out with water so that I can pee it out, but contrast is really harsh to the kidneys. So the radiologist canceled it. Now, nursing 101, what you should have done, I wasn't the nurse, this happened on a different shift, was call the doctor and say, hey, this patient creatinine BUN is this. The radiologist is concerned about giving them contrast. What would you like to do? And we all know the contrast is going to kill the kidneys. Well, not kill it, but like we're going to have to fight against it. But they will kind of already know. Since we know what we're doing, we know how to fight it. So nobody did that. So the contrast wasn't done. So when I came in, I'm looking through my chart because you need to look through your chart to see what orders need to be done, what orders haven't been done, and all of that stuff. And so when the doctor came around, I was like, hey, the CAT scan without contrast showed that it is possible a leakage with the abdominal aortic aneurysm, but they need the with contrast to determine whether or not if it's leaking or what. And he's like, oh, well, contact the nephrologist to see what kind of orders he want to do because we really need to get this done. You just have to advocate for your patients. Turns out that abdominal aortic aneurysm was leaking and the patient needed to be in the ICU, not on a regular med surg, on a regular unit. Like, if that thing bursts, people die within minutes. Like, it's not no, oh, we can call a cold blue. By the time they even get on the elevator to get to the 7th floor, it'll be done for. Like, so don't play around with your assessments. Like, big. I made this number 1 and I'm spending 10 minutes on it because that's exactly how important it is to do your assessments. The second tip, which is a piggyback off of the first tip, is don't be afraid to advocate for your patient. I literally will call a doctor 12 times a day to tell them about a patient. Prime example, I had a patient that was dying, point blank period. But the family was not quite ready to accept the fact that the patient was dying. So the patient was a full cold. Like, I get it. Nobody's really ready to say goodbye to their mother, brother, sister, cousin, father, son, daughter, grandchild. Nobody is ever really ready to just be like, oh, make them a DNR. It is definitely a process of coming to accept the terms of the situation and I'm trying to do everything I need to do to not have a cold blue on this full cold patient that is actively dying. So I called the doctor about everything. I called the doctor about, okay, their kidney function is increasingly getting worse. You want to know why it's getting worse? Because they're dying. So their kidneys are shutting down. Okay, she's sat at 85%. I'm putting them on 2 liters. I'm telling the doctor this because now their respiratory system is dying. Okay, I'm doing this. The blood pressure it started out at 140 yesterday, and now it's today, and they're sitting at the 90/54. Granted, 90/54 is normal. That's my normal blood pressure, but that is normal. This person typically runs high blood pressure. You do not want someone to come from 169/95 down to 94/54. That's not what you need. The body is shutting down. So I advocated. I need palliative care in here talking to the family. I need hospice in here talking to this family. Simply because it's just better if you do things in this way. Like, nobody's dying on me. Like, I don't have time. And I can say, thankfully, me personally, in my whole year at the hospital, I have not had to call a cold blue on my patients. Why? Because I'm assessing my patients and I'm telling the doctor, hey, this ain't right. Come check him out. I don't care if they already rounded. I'm gonna need you to come back. The family is here. They want to talk to you. You need to educate them. I can't tell these people, oh, we just did a repeat MRI and the stroke is getting bigger. This is why they're deteriorating. That's not my job to do that. That is the doctor's job. Baby girl, new nurse, do not deliver test results unless it say all clear. You should be like, oh, hey, just to let you know that that test came back negative, you're okay. But if it comes back positive or abnormal, it's not your job to explain it, because trust and believe they're going to have questions that you don't know about. I always tell them straight up, I have an associate's degree. You have a doctorate degree. You need to come over here and talk to these people. Well, what do you think? I don't know. It's not my job to think. It's your job to think what to do for this patient. Point blank, period. Don't overextend yourself simply because they getting paid buku money to come in and sit down for 15 minutes and you got to deal with them for 12 more hours. Like, let these doctors do their job, but don't be afraid to advocate. I don't care if they cuss you out. I don't care if they call you dumb. I don't care if they roll their eyes. I don't care if they go, ugh. I will still call the doctor. I call the doctor about everything, the slightest little things, okay? Period. The charge nurse, literally my last day, she was like, Christen, your assessment skills are like A1. Like, this was a really good catch. You don't know why? Simply because I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. But at the same time, too, you got to learn how to carry yourself as a nurse. And that's my third and final tip. Personal development. Okay. Before you're a nurse, I mean, some people, this is a second career. But initially, if you're straight out of high school or you're straight out of college, you're no longer a regular person. You are a person with a degree. So it is, you're held at a higher standard. So you need to carry yourself with a level of confidence. The best way to have confidence is to educate yourself. Whatever it is that you lack confidence in, you need to practice it and educate yourself on it. That is part of personal development. For me, I need to work on my speech. I'm saying I need to work on my speech because when I'm at work, I talk like how I talk at home. Y'all already know I'm Jenny from the block. Like, I'm from the hood, you know. So when I'm there, I kind of catch myself speaking like slang and stuff, or doing like the little trend stuff like and do. Ooh, don't play with her. She is not the one. Like, I catch myself doing that at work and I have to remind myself, girl, stop. That's Betty Crocker over there. Chill. But yeah, like, you see me, you in my business. Don't do that. Like, I have to catch myself because these people, sometimes these people have you messed up. So I've had to catch myself. I have to hold my tongue. You want to know why? Because I am Miss Independent and ain't nobody finna punk me. So I have to remind myself, you know what, Christen, girl, you have a degree. You are a nurse. You are a professional. Carry yourself as such. Be punctual. If you're black, if you're brown, if you're ethnic, it's already expected for you to be late. Please, please, please. And I'm sorry. 92% of the nurses that I have seen be late are black nurses. No shade. It's just who we are. We don't care about these jobs. And I get it. I get it. But carry yourself to a level. Iron your clothes before you come to work. I hate to say it. Like, don't look like you just rolled out of bed. Like, you don't have to wear full face makeup, but at least wash your face, put moisturizer on, make it look like you're awake. Like, a key to getting ahead, networking. I'm not ashamed to say it. I got my job simply because I knew a nurse practitioner who knew my hiring manager. Like, not saying I wasn't qualified, but if y'all follow me on Instagram, if you haven't, you need to. But if you follow me on Instagram, I posted a lot of, like, letters, like emails of people telling me they filled the positions. Oh, that position's no longer, or they went with another candidate. Being a new nurse, it's hard to get a job. And right now, it's a little bit harder too. Yes, they're hiring because of COVID, but at the same time too, people are wanting people with experience. So you're going to have to take that step down to go work at a nursing home to get experience, to know that you know how to touch a patient, because it's so fast paced. And you have to be on your assessments, and you have to know how to hold your own, because everybody's patient is crashing. You got to know how to hold your own, that these places aren't wanting to hire people straight out of school. So make sure you network, because who you know can get you in places way quicker than what you know. My next thing is volunteer. First month, I'm volunteering to get on different type of committees. That's playing a part in your networking, but at the same time, that shows that you're dedicated to the team. You're dedicated to your job, and it makes your employers want to know more about you. So volunteer, be a part of committees that make decisions. If you don't like how things are working on your unit, get on the nurse procedural or whatever the unit or whatever the committee is called for your unit, and vocalize how you feel like things should change. Like, be the change that you want to see. I know that's stereotypical or it's a mean type of vibe, but it's the truth. The only way that you're going to see change is if you change or if you help implement change. Hold yourself accountable. Last but not least, hold yourself accountable. We are all humans. No one is perfect. But in order for you to be successful, you have to know, okay, I did this and I'm going to hold myself accountable. Or so that you know, oh, that ain't my fault right there. I did A, B, and C. This on you now. Chart your behind off to cover your behind. Simple as that. That was my last one, because this is the bonus tip. My boss tried to, not my boss, but the assistant manager tried to like coach me, give me a verbal written warning about not doing an assessment. Because when people get, when they have strokes, we have to assess them every 2 hours for 24 hours. And it was like, oh, you didn't chart proper. Let me see that medical record number. When it pulled it up, I documented at 8, 10, 12, 1400, 1600. Like, they came in at 2 o'clock. So I was supposed to be done at 14, but I did one at 1600. So what is it? You want to know how I save myself? My documentation. Period. Don't go in these people places to play. Because this is not a game. This is a job. This is someone's life, and essentially is your life. Because that mistake can cost you. Period. All right, y'all. So this concludes my video. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up and leave me a nice comment. It's a 20-minute video, I know. But I had to get this out here because, listen, I love y'all. See y'all in my next video. Bye.